Hello, I'm Jim Rohn. Today we're going to decode a question that many people struggle with. Why do most avoidant individuals come back after rejecting you? Have you ever felt completely abandoned, only for them to suddenly return as if nothing ever happened? Do they truly regret their decision, or is this just part of their psychological cycle? In this video, I will reveal the hidden psychological mechanisms behind this behavior. From the fear of intimacy and idealization to the inevitable moment of regret. Most importantly, I will show you how to use this to regain control in the relationship. Make sure you watch until the end, because I will share a secret strategy that not only helps you understand, but also allows you to turn the situation around when they come back. And if you're interested in deep psychological insights like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. I always bring unique perspectives to help you better understand relationships and yourself. Now, let's dive into this secret. Ellen Fisher conducted a fascinating experiment to better understand how the brain responds to rejection in love. Participants were asked to look at a photo of their ex, the person who had ended the relationship with them. To assess changes in brain activity, they then had to shift their focus by solving a highly cognitive task, starting from the number 4,529 and continuously subtracting multiples of 7. This was a complex enough task to temporarily distract their minds from the emotional pain. After being distracted, they continued by looking at another photo, a person they knew but had no emotional connection with. Fisher's research results revealed something remarkable. The way the brain responds to rejection in love is almost identical to how it reacts when an addict tries to quit a stimulant. When a person is rejected, they don't just experience sadness or disappointment. They enter a state of intense activation in brain regions associated with desire, craving, and even addiction. This is why people who have been abandoned often find themselves overwhelmed by powerful emotions, unable to control their thoughts about their ex, even when they know it's not beneficial. If you've ever felt trapped in an obsessive cycle after being rejected, know that this doesn't mean you are weak or lack self-control. In reality, you are simply experiencing a natural response of the brain. Just like a drug addict faces cravings when trying to quit, those hurt in love go through a similar cycle. They start with denial, thinking they're fine, that this is just a passing feeling. But then, as old memories resurface, they gradually realize that they are truly stuck in that pain. After the awareness phase comes the struggle between reason and emotion. They might tell themselves they need to let go, to move on, but their mind keeps returning to past moments. Some people choose to cut ties completely, avoiding everything related to their ex, while others unconsciously seek connection, checking social media in secret, attempting to reach out, or even placing themselves in situations where they might accidentally run into their ex. The most important thing to understand here is, you are not crazy, nor are you weak. You are simply going through a psychological process that science has proven to be entirely normal. But like any addiction, if you don't control it, it can consume you. And this is exactly when you need a real strategy to overcome this addiction and regain control of your life. So why don't those who rejected you come back immediately, even when they feel a sense of loss? The answer lies in the complex psychological mechanisms of human nature. When someone leaves a relationship, they often go through a phase that I call the illusion of control. They believe their decision was the right one, that they can easily move on without you, but reality is not that simple. At first, they may feel free, even relieved, especially if they had been struggling with doubts and inner conflicts before. However, over time, they begin to realize that not everything unfolds as they expected. The people they meet don't provide the same feeling as you did. The moments they once considered insignificant suddenly become more meaningful, and most importantly, they feel an unexpected void. But this doesn't mean they will immediately rush back to you. Instead, they get stuck in a psychological cycle full of contradictions. On one hand, they want to protect their ego. Admitting they were wrong can be very difficult. On the other hand, they cannot deny the growing emptiness inside them. That's why they don't reach out to you, even when they miss you. This is also when emotional delay comes into play. Some people take weeks, even months, to fully feel the real impact of the breakup. This explains why some disappear for a long time and then suddenly return, not because they didn't miss you before, but because it took them too long to accept that they had truly lost you. And by the time they realize it, the emotional addiction they once tried to escape resurfaces stronger than ever. So what is really happening here? If someone rejects you, does that automatically mean they will come back? Not necessarily. Assuming that everyone who leaves a relationship will eventually return is an oversimplification that does not fully reflect reality. Whether someone comes back is not only dependent on their initial decision to leave, but also on how much they crave you after the breakup. Think about this from the perspective of an addict. A drug addict does not crave everything. They only crave what they were addicted to. Similarly, in relationships, if your ex does not truly feel an absence, if they do not experience a deep sense of loss, they will have no motivation to return. This explains why not everyone who breaks up will find their way back. Consider an interesting statistic from a survey conducted by the Associated Press. This study found that over 40% of people have gotten back together with an ex after a breakup. Additionally, more than 1/3 of respondents admitted to having had sexual relations with an ex after breaking up. These numbers indicate that reconciliation is not uncommon, but it is also not guaranteed, since 60% of breakups never lead to getting back together. The key question here is what separates the 40% who reunite from the remaining 60%? The answer may lie in the level of craving the ex-partner experiences after leaving. If they do not feel a significant loss, if they are not driven by a sense of missing you, then they have no reason to return. To illustrate this, let's look at data from a test group of consulting clients we worked with in 2017. Out of 10 participants, all of whom were the ones who had been broken up with. We directly guided them through each step, provided continuous support, and helped them adjust their post-breakup behavior. The result? 7 out of 10 successfully reunited with their ex within 6 months. That sounds impressive, but let's put this number into perspective. This was not a large sample, and these individuals received maximum support, meaning they had a much higher chance of implementing effective strategies. They did not just sit around waiting for their ex to return. They applied specific approaches to create a sense of craving and make their ex feel the loss. So what is the takeaway here? A breakup does not automatically lead to reconciliation, but if you know how to create desire, the chances of reuniting increase significantly. This does not mean you should desperately cling to them or chase after them. It means making them realize your value to the point where they cannot help but come back. The key does not lie in manipulative strategies or seemingly magical advice. In reality, what allows those who have been rejected to attract their ex back is an internal transformation. When someone enters the painful stage after a breakup, they can respond in 2 ways. Either they are consumed by negative emotions, or they use them as fuel for growth and change. Interestingly, those who successfully attract their ex back almost always belong to the second group. Why is that? Because people are drawn to growth. When someone sees that you are no longer stuck in the past, when they realize that you have changed, not in an attempt to impress them, but because you have truly become a better version of yourself, that is when they start to reconsider. It is not because you sent a perfectly timed message or flawlessly applied the no contact rule, but because you have created a new energy, a confidence that makes them feel that if they do not act now, they may lose you forever. In a discussion with psychological analyst Erica Kazar, she pointed out an important truth. Healing is not a single moment, but a journey that requires the right environment to flourish. Overcoming the pain of a breakup is not just about hearing the right advice or executing a specific strategy. What matters more is changing how you perceive yourself and the situation you are going through. When I make these videos, my goal is not just to help people understand what their ex is thinking or what they should do next. The core focus is to help you reshape your perspective on yourself so that you recognize your own value rather than seeking validation from someone who walked away. Because true transformation does not happen when you try to control someone else's emotions. It happens when you give yourself the space to confront your own emotions, to look back at the past honestly, without judgment or self-blame. When someone feels safe enough to express their emotions, when they can be honest with themselves without the pressure to act immediately, that is when real transformation begins. They are no longer trapped in obsessive thoughts about their ex, but gradually regain freedom in their mindset. And it is this shift, confidence, calmness, and the absence of desperation, that naturally makes them more attractive, not just to their ex, but to everyone around them. Think of it this way. If you are focused on how to get my ex back, you are placing control in their hands. But if you shift your focus to how can I grow to the point where people cannot ignore me, you are reclaiming control for yourself. And when that happens, not only your ex, but also those around you will start to see you in a completely different light. So what is the real secret? Do not try to change others. Focus on changing yourself. When you do that, the things you once craved may naturally find their way back to you. Or even better, you may realize that you deserve something far greater. The most important takeaway here is not how to get your ex back, but why you want that in the first place. Is it truly love, or just your brain's reaction to loss? Is it a genuine desire to reconnect with that person, or simply the fear of loneliness making you feel like they are your only option? We have seen that someone coming back after rejecting you is largely tied to desire. But for someone to desire you, you cannot just focus on them, you need to focus on yourself. If you remain stuck in anxious behaviors, seeking reassurance or trying to hold on, all you are doing is reinforcing their belief that breaking up was the right decision. On the other hand, if you create real change from within, you not only make them see you differently, but also put yourself in a position where you can decide whether they are still worthy of you. Consider this from another angle. When you idealize someone, you stop seeing them for who they truly are. You exaggerate their good qualities and overlook their flaws, making them appear one of a kind in your eyes. You convince yourself that they are the only person who can bring you happiness, that no one else can take their place. But the truth is, no one is perfect, and no one can truly bear the responsibility of providing you with complete happiness, except you. Only when you remove the rose-colored glasses and see them as they truly are, with both strengths and weaknesses, can you make a rational decision. Do you truly love them, or are you in love with the idealized version you have created in your mind? Are they really the right person for you, or are you just clinging to a beautiful memory that no longer reflects reality? So ask yourself two important questions. What is the real reason I want them back? Do they truly deserve me? If you cannot provide a clear, rational, and honest answer, then perhaps it is time to stop chasing them and start focusing on yourself instead. And the greatest irony in all of this is, when you no longer put them on a pedestal, when you are no longer obsessed with holding on to them, that is when they begin to recognize your value. The biggest paradox of attraction is this: only when you no longer need them do they start to desire you. But by then, will you still want them back? That is a question only you can answer.